Welcome to the Manual Channel. I'm your host, Dan Gaul, and today our guest is Josh Hermes, Vice President of Polaris Slingshot. We'll be diving into the history, innovative design, and the future of the Slingshot brand. But before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update from the manual. So with that, let's go. So first off, Josh, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan. Excited to join you today.
Yeah, me too. And I'm super curious about the Polaris Slingshot brand because, I see them, but I don't know much about it and much about the origin. So could you give us kind of like an origin history of the Slingshot brand and why it was conceived?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, what is Slingshot? I'll start with that. So Slingshot is a three-wheeled open air roadster. And it started in 2010, actually, as many products that our company do, which was a good idea by a group of passionate engineers, and they built a prototype. And fast forward 4 years later, in 2014, we brought that product to market. So if you look at Polaris and the history of our company, we've got a long track record of bringing innovative product to market to really deliver a great experience for people outdoors. And Slingshot's just another example of that. We've done a lot of category defining products, whether it's the snowmobile, the RZR, and Slingshot falls within that bucket as well. So that's where it started. Brought it out in 2014 as a 2015 model year, and we've had it in the lineup since.
So those engineers, were they just like at lunch one day and were like, it'd be sweet is having a three-wheeled bike that is open air, super nice out right now. And I wonder what that would look like. Is that kind of was the concept, or did it come down from like some other like higher person in the company?
Yeah, usually these things starts with how can we solve a challenge or a problem for the customer? How can we do something to benefit the customer, right? And so the idea was, how can we give people this open air kind of motorcycle-like riding experience on road, but do it in a way where you're sitting in it and you're able to sit side by side with somebody and share the experience, and it's a more familiar driving experience, but you still get that open air kind of more visceral experience on the road like a motorcycle. And so that was the idea, right? It was, how do we do that? How do we deliver this completely different experience for people that still want to enjoy the open air on-road ride, but do it in a way that's a little bit different, where you're kind of sitting in a vehicle and you can sit with somebody next to you.
Yeah, and then speaking of challenges, like I would imagine there was a ton of challenges that you all had to overcome during the early days. What were some of those big challenges?
Yeah, for sure. There were a couple things as we look at the early days of Slingshot. So first, when we brought the product to market in 2014, it launched only available with a manual transmission. So if you think about it, not many people out there today know how to drive a manual transmission. And so that in and of itself kind of limited the pool of people that could use the vehicle. The other one was actually launched as a three-wheeled motorcycle. So in most states, you needed a motorcycle endorsement to drive the product. So again, it really limited the amount of people or who could actually use the product. So those were two really big challenges in the beginning, challenges and opportunities, right? So on the other hand, it was an opportunity for growth. And so those were really two areas where we focused in to go solve.
And so, from my understanding, the automatic version of this, because you offer a manual version still, but it's called Auto Drive. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So we brought out auto drive. So when we launched the product, the number one request from people was bring an automatic transmission. And so we did that in 2020. We brought out auto drive. It's an automated manual transmission. So it's interesting. It's actually a manual transmission that through hydraulics and electronics actually does the shifting for you. And so we brought that in 2020. And now the majority of our volume is actually with the auto drive transmission versus the manual, and the manual is still available, just more people buying the auto drive. The other thing, just going back to the motorcycle endorsement, now in all but one state, you just need a driver's license to drive the vehicle. So the auto transmission combined with the change in only needing the driver's license really opened up Slingshot to a lot of people. And I mean, honestly, it's a great opportunity in terms of approachability and accessibility for people that have never been in power sports to try power sports.
Yeah, it brings kind of like a fun image. People see that and go, see one on the road, I would imagine, go, ooh, what is that first? And then two, that looks like a lot of fun because you get that freedom of wind in your hair and that, kind of a feeling of being on a motorcycle, but it's freedom, right? But you're sharing that or
Yeah.
have a potential to share that with a partner, a friend, somebody that you want to bring along, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a totally different experience. There's really nothing else like it out there. You kind of get that experience of the motorcycle, like you said, where it's open air. You feel kind of more in the environment, kind of closer to the road, which is a lot of fun. But you're still sitting in it. You got the familiarity of a steering wheel and gas pedal and brake and all that. And so it's a totally unique experience, and it's a ton of fun.
Yeah. So was that auto drive one of the like many major successes that kind of put you on the map? What are some other major successes that you guys were just like, this really is innovative within the product?
Yeah, for sure. The auto drive is a big one. That one from a technology standpoint and a feature standpoint really opened up the product to a lot more people. So as we think about growing the business and reaching more people, that was a huge success for us. And so that was big. And then we took feedback that followed that, right? So we brought the auto drive out, and then we started hearing, hey, it'd be great to have paddle shifters on this thing. And so that was a follow on. We put paddle shifters on it, and that just creates a super fun experience, right? So you can still get the feel of the driving a manual, but you kind of get the best of both worlds. And so that was really a big one. I mean, another success, frankly, was again partnering with states to get it so that you only need a driver's license to drive the vehicle. Because again, it's about bringing people into power sports. It's about growing the business, reaching more people. And those two things were really big drivers in doing that.
And then the design actually I feel like is innovative, at least at the very least super unique. So what was kind of like the driving force behind that design? It's changed a bit since you guys have launched, but you still recognize the slingshot when you slingshot, no matter how old it is. It looks very like sharp and pointy in some areas, and obviously open air top. So what was the basis of such a distinctive design? Were there actually functional reasons of having it look the way it looks?
Yeah, I would say the design, the appearance of the vehicle, the design's an output of both form and function. So functionally, again, going back to how do you deliver that open air kind of visceral experience on road, that the power sports experience on road, but do it in a way where instead of riding two up on a motorcycle, you can share that experience side by side. And so the three-wheel design really enabled that. So a lot of the unique features of the vehicle or the unique look of the vehicle is based around it being three wheels, with two in the front, one in the back. And so it's partly functional, but it also was form. The team set out to design a vehicle that was really going to stand out and turn heads. And I will tell you, it does exactly that. It looks like nothing else on the road. It's super unique looking. It definitely stands out wherever you go. It catches a ton of attention. And our customers that are buying the product, they like that. They love the style. It's really a lifestyle product. They love to be able to personalize it, let their personality come through and how the vehicle looks. And so style is huge, huge for our customers. And that unique look is something that they really like. And I will also tell you, in a vehicle that weighs less than 1,700 pounds, but is available with just over 200 horsepower, it's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Acceleration time, a little bit under 5 seconds, and it's just an absolute blast to drive. So it's a unique experience, it's a unique look, and it's a really, really fun product to drive.
And you just keep lining me up for like my next questions, which is kind of funny. So speaking of customers, you know, first off, from inception and launch to where you all are today, obviously, I feel like the community has grown quite a bit. Obviously, you would be zero when you launch, but how
Yeah.
has the customer changed from launch? Like, has there been a change? What was, when you launched, what was your vision of the ideal customer, and what is that today?
Well, launching as a three-wheel motorcycle, initially you had a lot of customers that had motorcycle experience background. They were either adding to their fleet or they were replacing a motorcycle that they already owned, particularly a touring motorcycle or a two-up motorcycle. And so you saw a lot of that in the beginning. And then as it changed in terms of adding the auto drive, in terms of only needing a driver's license to drive the product, it really opened up the product to a much broader audience. And so now, we get a lot of people that have no experience, not only with a motorcycle, but with power sports in general. So people that are coming in, they're new to power sports, they're new to the space. In fact, 80% of our customers are new to Polaris.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it really evolved over time. Uh, the other thing I talked about a little bit earlier was just style and how that is important to the customer, and we've seen that grow over time as well. Style in terms of a purchase driver for the product, wanting to stand out, wanting to be seen, wanting to personalize the product and really make it your own and have your personality come through. So we've really seen that evolution over time, where in the beginning, you had a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people coming off of or a motorcycle or adding to the fleet, and now it's a much more diverse customer set.
Yeah. I feel like, I played with the builder online just to see what all the options were. And there's a ton of options and variations, but also based off of the model you're buying, you get unique colors, right? So it's almost like a
Yeah,
gamification, right? Like, oh, I want that gold color. I think
yeah,
that's in the second to the top tier, right? I don't remember the model number specifically. But that to me was like super interesting. And then is there a large aftermarket builder, like options for the slingshot?
yeah. Well, certainly we offer a lot of ways for customers to accessorize the vehicle. So not only to your point, so we've got a broad lineup. We've got multiple trim levels from our base model S up to our R and our limited editions. And within that, we have a number of different options, from audio and our 7-inch display with ride command, different wheels, different seats, different colors, manual, auto drive. So there's all different kinds of combinations. And we try to give a lot of variety in color as well, just because we know that's so important to customers. So you don't see many of the same vehicle out on the road, right? There's a lot of unique combinations. And on top of that, we have an accessory portfolio that customers can further add to and make the vehicle their own, whether it's a sling shade, which is a hard top that you can put on the vehicle. We have different windscreens, we have different audio, storage, all kinds of accessories, rear fender for the rear wheel. So all of those are different ways that customers can personalize it. And then certainly, they do things beyond that as well. As you look at the aftermarket. So there's a ton of options out there, and that's why so many of them that you see on the road are completely unique, and
Yeah.
you rarely see two that are alike.
Yeah, I noticed also just with those accessories, like I think you have uh like the fenders, or I'm trying to think, like the side mirror. Don't you, there's like a side mirror cover, but you can get those in different color combinations as
Yeah.
well. So like if you
Yep.
have, for example, the Miami blue, which I think is a pretty amazing color. When I saw it, that's pretty sick. But you can get actually like white side mirrors or something like that. You can, how many combinations are there that you can kind of do with that?
Huh, so many combinations. Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the different combinations, it's hundreds between the different models, trims, colors, accessory colors, all of that. I mean, you can really, it's a large variety of combinations that you can put together.
And then that probably leads to a pretty prolific community, right? People take pride, it sounds like it, take pride in their slingshot and at least customizing it and making it unique. And when people do that, in my mind, that means they want to show it off. So, like, can you
Yeah.
talk about the community and what that is like?
Yeah, it's an extremely passionate community. People invest a lot of their time, their effort, their money into the vehicles, making it their own, customizing it, letting their personality show through. And they want to share that with other people. So, all across, across the country, across the world, there's groups of customers, the Slingshot owner community and owner groups that come together. They do rides together. They hang out. They have different events, and it's really not only about showing off your individuality, but also coming together as a community and sharing that experience and showing what you've done to your vehicle and comparing and all that. And so it's really awesome to see the culture around the brand, and that's really grown stronger over the years as you've seen people do more customization to the product. Of style has become a stronger purchase influencer. The community has just continued to grow, and it's really cool to see.
And do you find that as they've got introduced to the slingshot and being introduced to power sports, that has led them further into power sports, like maybe their next purchase being like a ATV, UTV, motorcycle, or something along those lines?
We get some of that, as you look across our portfolio, right? So you hit some of it. We've got Slingshot, we have Indian Motorcycle, we have our off-road vehicles, snowmobiles. We've got a broad portfolio of boats. So you do get some crossover as people start to get into power sports. You get the bug, you get the itch, and you want to be able to experience that in different environments, right? So on-road, off-road, on the water. And having such a broad portfolio, you do start to see some of that crossover, which is great. Once we get people in the Polaris family, we want to keep them in the Polaris family. And the way you do that is providing a great experience, whether it's through the product or through our dealers. And so it's great to see that.
Yeah, and familiarity with the brand, right? Like, if they love their Polaris, I imagine they're eager to try some other things. From jumping back to the design real quick, and you had some of the biggest wins from a technology standpoint being auto drive. What were some of the like radical designs that didn't make it into the final production? Like, were there any standout things that you guys were like, wow, this is really cool, but that's not a good idea?
Well, what I tell you is the design that we landed on is pretty radical. As you right, like look at the product. It's super unique, and it totally stands out. It is such an eye-catching design, and so I would say this three-wheeled sit-in vehicle with a steering wheel and a big hood and all that. That's a pretty radical design in and of itself. So I'd say the design team did a really good, and the engineers did a great job out of the gate, really pushing the boundaries of what this product could be and how it could stand out and stand apart. And so I'd say no real major ones to share that maybe hit the cutting room floor, so to speak. But I think the design that made it to market was pretty radical.
And are there any like future designs and features that you can share today, like what you guys are thinking of down the road?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to share some future plans and news with you. I can't, but what I can tell you is this, and I already gave some examples of that: auto drive, paddle shifters, all the different colors we do, sling shade. We're always listening to our customers, whether it's in Slingshot or any part of our business. This Polaris, we've got a lot of customers. We're always talking to them directly through surveys, talking to dealers, getting out to events. We're always listening. And we take all that feedback in, and we're always using that to inform how we make that product better, how we make the experience better, how we innovate, provide new solutions and all that. And we're continually doing that. And so, that informs the future product plans. And I can't share those with you. But just know, that's something that we're always doing, and we're always looking to innovate for the customer.
Yeah, so taking those key learnings, whether it's from the customer or from current models or previous models, and innovating off of that, and then I'm assuming also some of those innovations and ideas go make it to other product lines under the Polaris brand, right?
Yeah, you get some of that. That's one area where we look at and we say, how can we take learnings, take cool features, innovative ideas, and bring those across the portfolio where it makes sense for the customer, if it's a good fit for the customer in different use cases. And so a good example of that is in Polaris is Ride Command. So Slingshot, some of our off-road vehicles, our India motorcycles, we have our touch screen display with our Ride Command operating system. And you see that across our lineup because it's a great feature set. Customers love it. It's applicable across a bunch of different use cases. So that's a great example of technology that we bring across the lineup.
That's awesome. And then from a kind of I feel like an interesting, I love to ask this question just in general, but do you have any like fun stories or legends or myths that come from within Polaris or even from Slingshot owners? I'm sure people have had some amazing experiences that you're like, holy cow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would say, maybe more generally, just the product, it's just so interesting. Anybody that rides in it, I'll just talk from personal experience. You ride in the vehicle and like you're going down the road and you see cell phones coming out of pockets to start taking pictures. People are honking at you. You stop at the gas station, people are coming up to talk to you, look at the vehicle. And I mean, you feel like a celebrity when you're driving down the street. It's unbelievable. You get the head nods and the waving and all of that. And so you can't be somebody that's super introverted. It might almost make you a little bit uncomfortable with all the attention that you get. It's crazy. And so that is, I just think about kind of the fun of the brand and the fun of the product. Whenever you ride it, it's crazy the attention that you get. It's fun to look too, like you see, so in sports, like training camp, players are coming back, and a lot of times you see them, it's like, what are they driving? And you get a lot of people driving customized slingshots. You'll see those popping up, a lot of athletes riding them into training camp, the beginning of season, for example. Those are always fun ones to see. And it's just it's a product that gets a lot of attention from celebrities that want to have something unique, and they put some money into it and customize it. And so that's just cool to see it come through in different ways within kind of culture.
What's the craziest slingshot you've seen?
Oh man. I have seen some that I probably won't talk about on in this interview, but look, the amount of money that people put into some of these vehicles, customizing it's pretty unbelievable. It's impressive, and frankly, it's cool to see for the brand just how passionate people are and how much they make it a part of their lifestyle and who they are. And so, massive audio systems and all these other things, right? To really show off the vehicle. And so, I've seen some crazy stuff. I don't want to share it here, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
How about this then? If you could customize one for yourself in any way possible, what would you do? What is your dream slingshot? Like color,
Yeah.
like all that stuff. Like give me some ideas.
Yeah, for me, I like blacked out stuff. So mine would be fully blacked out, big audio system, super clean looking. That's how I like my stuff. So mine would be clean, blacked out, big audio, manual. That's what mine would look like, and a sling shade. I'd have a top on it.
Yeah, so that sling shade is not waterproof, right? It's just provides sunshade. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you still want people. Anyways, that's part of the fun experience. And I agree with you. I tend to lean more towards all blacked out. Like so, like most of my cars are usually black with black wheels and blacked out badging. I
Yeah.
have one car that is actually I would call a stormtrooper, which is like it's white, but then everything else, the body's white and everything else is blacked out, right? So
I like that. Yeah.
yeah, the little contrast and but it's really interesting how that has really become popular over the years of like Like I have a Toyota that came as a nightshade package where all the badging was black, which was kind of actually nice. I didn't have to pay someone to black it out for me.
Yeah, it is pretty popular now.
Yeah, you guys offer that too, right?
Not fully blacked out. Not fully blacked out. It's an opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I'm going to move into some rapid fire questions. So as quick as you can respond. What's your favorite motorsport event to attend?
I'm a power sports guy, so anything that Polaris is competing in, snowcross, desert racing, flat track racing, I love showing up at that stuff.
And if you could drive any car in the world, what would it be?
James Bond's Aston Martin DB5.
Oh, heck yes. That's beautiful. All right. What's your top road trip destination?
Northern Michigan. If you have
Why?
never been, Northern Michigan in the summer, Grand Traverse Bay. If you've never seen it or heard of it, look it up.
Okay. Thank you for that. I
Yep.
already know the answer to this, I think, but I want you to tell me manual or automatic transmission and why.
Manual, it's more fun.
Yeah. I also feel like that's a life skill now. I feel like any kid learning to drive, they should learn how to drive a manual just in case, especially if they want to go to Europe one day. Rent a
It's
car.
more fun. You feel more connected with the road.
100%. And then who is your all-time favorite race car driver?
I'm going to cheat on this one a little bit, and I'm going to say all of our factory racers here at Polaris. We've got a snow factory race team, Indian Motorcycle, and Razor, and they do a great job for us. So shout out to them.
Awesome, awesome. Lots of Polaris information in there. Before we wrap up, I want to just find out, give you an opportunity. Is there anything new, upcoming you want to share with the audience and let us know about?
Yeah, actually, one thing that we didn't talk about or touch on is anybody that wants to try out a slingshot, we actually they can rent one through more than 130 Polaris Adventures outfitters that we have across the country. So go to Polaris.com, you can look that up. But yeah, if you want a chance to ride a slingshot, try it out. You can do that through more than 130 Polaris Adventures outfitters that we have that specifically carry slingshot.
You know, I might have to try that out because I've always been super interested in them. They look like a ton of fun, but I see them so much more often now, especially in entertainment, like music videos, like you're talking about celebrities driving them and so forth. And it just seems like they've blown up over the years. And I'm a power sports fan. Got an old 1974 Kawasaki KZ400 out in my barn that I bought when I moved down to Portland. I used to have a sports touring bike when I lived in Seattle, and I was like, you know what, I'm getting older, and my kids, like I want to calm down a little bit. I feel like that's why Slingshot also exists for me as an interesting idea, is that it allows me to still get a great experience, but not worry so much about being on two wheels.
Yeah, and we do hear that. That's definitely one of the customer motivators to purchase. And so we need to get you in one. We're going to take that as a takeaway coming out of here. The other thing that I would say is just follow us on social at Polaris Slingshot and go to Polaris.com to learn more about the product, the brand, and to find a dealer.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Josh, for your really interesting information on Polaris and sharing that with us. We've learned so much, I feel, about kind of like the history and the design, because I didn't really know where this came from. And thank you so much. I want to remind everybody to like, subscribe, and sign up for the notifications again. We got more interesting content coming up every week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.